Good morning, Ultimate Hustlers. It is that time for the Cortez Hustle Show. And today we're talking spending habits. Which priorities do your spending habits reflect? Are you actually spending in a way that's going to ultimately get you what you want down the road? If you don't know, and if you don't know how to tell, then we're actually going to give you some steps that you need to follow in order to really flesh out where your spending priorities are leading you. We want them to lead you to the right place, but you got to know what that right place is. So that's what we're talking about today. Do me a huge favor, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business down on your brand, and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen, because now it's time for us to kick it. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, also known as the one and only financial health mentor, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, from myperfectmoneyplan.com, where you can go check out the Generational Wealth Masterclass. On Multiply My Money Mondays, I always try to give you guys a topic related to your finances. So we're talking about your spending habits and do they reflect your priorities? So go over to myperfectmoneyplan.com, see where you can get double-digit returns on your investments, how to actually evaluate different funds. I literally show you 3 different funds. One is earning 12%, one is earning 13%, and another earning 16%, and have averaged that for the last 40 years, ladies and gentlemen. So if you don't know what to do with your money, I can't tell you what to do with it, but I can teach you how to look at certain things so that you can make informed decisions, or better yet, ask your certified licensed professional about the things that I'm going to show you. myperfectmoneyplan.com. So welcome to the stream. Comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting platform, remember to subscribe and also share it to those that you think will enjoy this kind of content. Got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to teach you how to identify your spending habits and see if they line up with your priorities. A couple quick announcements before we get underway, though. Huge shout out to my girl, Michelle. Hey, you guys know her as the co-host of our other podcast, the St. Louis Hustle Podcast. And this weekend, she launched officially her book, Who in the Heck Do You Think You Are? A Woman's Guide to Understanding the Key Benefits of Self-Awareness. And she had an in-person book signing and she packed the place out. A lot of cool people jumped up and had some very great things to say for her. So super proud of you, Michelle. And continued success to you and your new journey, this new chapter in your life as a coach, mentor, and an influencer, leveraging and helping to increase the self-confidence of young women. Also, last chance to jump into the beta test of the book program. If you know, like I know, that you got a book in you, according to statistics, 81% of all adults want to write a book. Only 1% ever do. So our self-publishing course, our beta test group is going strong, but I've got about 3 or 4 slots. If you want to get an extreme discount on writing your first book, publishing that first book, and then building a brand and a system around it, then you need to comment keyword publish. I'll send you the link to our recorded mastermind masterclass so that you can get an idea of what we're bringing to the table. But this is the last week for you to jump in at the special beta test price. Go to workwithcortez.com/publish if you want to just book a call and just talk about your book project. And also, finally, Financially Lit Fathers Top 600, ladies and gentlemen. So our group that we have exclusively for men, even though there's a ton of women in the group, I'm gonna have to go in and kick you guys out, ladies. But we have a group for men that's all about them becoming more financially literate. We got 3 primary goals as Financially Lit Fathers. We want to help men make money more efficiently. That means if you can make money using the internet and other tools and leveraging other things, then you should definitely look into that. We're going to help you manage your money more effectively. How do you save? How do you budget, right? And then we're going to help you multiply your money more aggressively. If you are not already part of Financially Lit Fathers community, then I want you to use the link in the show notes or in the comments to go grab yourself a seat. And every week we have something special that we're bringing to you guys in terms of financial literacy to help you with our half hour of power, which is a 30-minute workshop where we bring financial education to these brothers. So we just went over the 600 member mark. Super excited about that. So if you're a man and you want to increase your financial IQ, then join that group right here on Facebook. So let's go ahead and jump into today's topic right after I hit you with the quote of the day. Every day I start the show off with a quote. And today's quote is, if you get better, everything will get better for you. That's a Jim Rohn classic right there. If you get better, everything will get better for you. Sometimes we sit back and we complain, we fuss, we moan and groan about the present state of our existence and not realizing that we literally have the control to change our entire world at the drop of a hat. All we got to do is change ourselves first. If we get better, everything in our lives get better too. So make a commitment today to get better for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, today's quote of the day is brought to you by Monetize My Life Academy, the premier digital marketing mastermind on the planet. Listen, if you are an entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out how to make Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, these social media platforms work, maybe you want to start a podcast, maybe you want to start a blog, you're trying to figure out lead generation, how to connect your autoresponder, all of those different things, how to push your courses. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's what we do. Every single month, we give you a course to help you in one of these disciplines. Every single month, we have a live mastermind call where you can ask questions about what you need help with. And we give you instruction from some of the top online digital marketers that you would ever want to meet. And you can test drive this entire system for just $1. MonetizeMyLifeAcademy.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about spending habits. Do your spending habits reflect your priorities, or which priorities do your spending habits reflect? Now, there are some things you can do in order to help you on this journey, and we're going to talk about those today. We're going to take our time and go through this information because this is critically important. A lot of us have dreams and goals, but we don't know how to execute on them. And those of us who are executing, sometimes the reason that we're not getting as far as fast, a lot of times it's because our spending habits are not lining up with the things that we say we truly want. So does your spending reflect your priorities? When most of your money goes towards providing what's most important to you, you tend to live a more fulfilled life and feel more satisfied with the way you spend your money, right? Think about it. How good do you feel when you know that you're doing the right things with your money? It's also easier to stick to your personal finance plan when its objectives are to get you what you really want out of life. It is so easy for us to get pulled this way and that way based on what society has deemed what we should have. But ask yourself, is what society deemed what we should have lining up with what you really want? Because life priorities can differ drastically from person to person, it's important to be aware of your own personal values, right? If you guys have not already smashed that share button, please do me that favor and then come back and comment that you shared. I like to know who's helping me get this message of economic empowerment out in front of more and more people. So ask yourself these questions, right? Number one, what do you really want from life? Above everything else, what do you really want out of life? Give you an example. Above everything else, I want my grandchildren to be straight financially. I want to leave a legacy for my grandchildren. I want them to have an inheritance valued at least 7 figures, right? That's what I want above everything else. Now, second to that, I want to be able to travel the world with my wife. So why do you say that second, Cortez? Because if I just keep making my monthly contributions to my investment accounts, that money is going to grow to a place where my grandchildren will be okay, right? But if I don't make my business grow the way that I want to, we may never get to travel the world, but the main priority is accomplished. Now, I will tell you this, my business is exploding, so I'm super excited about that, and my wife and I will be able to start traveling the world here very shortly. So what is your main thing that you want to get out of life? Now, also, what are your personal values? I want my grandchildren to be crazy straight, but I don't want it to be based on blood money. I don't want it to be where I had to sell my soul in order to accumulate some money to put it to the side so that they can live off that. No, one of my favorite TV shows that I follow when I do get a chance to sit down and watch a little TV is a show called Billions, right? And this show, this billionaire, Bobby Axelrod, is your prototypical type A personality. He drives hard. Now, you got to give it to him. Everybody that rocks with him wins and wins big. But sometimes he crosses or comes very close to that line, and everything he does is not full of integrity. While I want my grandchildren to be straight, I don't want anybody to be able to come back and say, yeah, y'all straight, but your grandpa messed over a bunch of people in order to put y'all in that position. So you got to think about your personal values as well as what you really want. So ask yourself, what do you really want from life? What kind of lifestyle do you seek? I told you, I want to travel the world with my sugar. I want her to see every square mile of this globe that we can, right? What are your life goals? My overall life goal is generational wealth for my grandchildren, my wife and I to travel the globe, my sons to be incredibly wealthy in their own rights. Aside from what I'm going to leave my grandchildren, I want them to learn money principles and strategies and business acumen so they could leave my grandchildren something too. That's just what I want, right? Now, here's the big question you have to ask yourself. Does your spending reflect those things? And I'll say maybe for myself personally, maybe 30%, right? Keep telling y'all, man, this show is for me. And I go and research these topics that I need help with in my life. And I'm just speaking to you guys out loud. You guys get to hear. But I'm trying to get to a place where 100% of my income, every dollar that comes in and through my hands, literally has a specific destination every time. Every dollar must have an assignment. So is your spending reflecting your priorities? So how do you set these things up in a way where you can test? See, I already know that 30% of my money does actually go towards me growing my business, go towards me growing my investment portfolio and things of that nature, but it should be 100%. Should be 100%. I got to get better at making sure every single dollar has an assignment. And let's get this straight right here, because sometimes we think that if every dollar has an assignment, that assignment must be an investment. That's not what I'm saying. We think every dollar having assignment must be that every dollar must go to a bill. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you understand budgeting, when you understand prioritizing your spending, it just simply means the dollars that you have assigned for investing, all of them go to investing. If you want to travel the world, if you have some favorite vices that you like to enjoy every month, then assign a dollar to that thing. Just don't spend any more than that dollar amount that has been allocated. So if you say, hey, for me and mine, Cortez, every single month, I've got to take my family out to eat twice a month. I don't have a problem with that. Do you have a budget assigned for that activity though? When you say, listen, twice a month, I take my family out to eat and to see a movie. Great. What's the budget for that? How many dollars have you assigned for that activity? If it's $400, like I got a wife and 5 sons. So it was never, even when we went to the dollar show, it was never less than $100 for me to take my family out because it's so many of us. And oftentimes I had my cousin and my nephew who I also helped raise. So it is 9 of us, right? In a lot of cases. So it wasn't always cheap for us to do that. But if you say every single month, Cortez, I have to take my family out and we go to a movie and we go grab a bite to eat. Nothing wrong with that. Assign a dollar amount for that. And do not go over that dollar amount. And let your family know we have X amount of dollars to go to dinner and a movie 2 times a month. If we blow the whole thing on the first movie, then the second movie might be Netflix and chill. Because we blew the whole thing. We had a good time the first time. We ain't had nothing left in the budget. So we got a Netflix and chill as a family, right? So giving every dollar an assignment doesn't mean you have to spend every dollar on something boring, right? So how do you know when your priorities are, when your spending is not matching your priorities, right? Follow these steps to help determine if your finances are in alignment with your priorities. Number 1, you might want to go ahead and list your priorities. You might notice different levels of priorities as you write yours down. Things like having a place to live and plenty of food to eat are your basic priorities. But then go above that. What is it that you really, truly, honestly desire? Write it down. Don't try to go off this, what's in your head. No, sit down with your family and write these things down, because sometimes you're going to forget things that should be a priority to you based on you looking to the face of your children. Oh, I didn't say college should be down on my list for my children to go through to college and through college with zero debt. Oh, is that a priority for you? Write it down. Because now when you start assigning assignments to your dollars, some of those assignments has to be for investment for college. Hey, I want all of my children, when they get to a certain age, to be able to go out and buy them a franchise. Okay, what does that look like? How much do you need to start saving every single month in order to grow that money to a place where they can do those things? Do you have a written list of your priorities? Right now, we're going to continue this conversation after we get into 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. 1 minute motivation, if you're new to the show, is where we play a short motivational clip. And I'm going to give you a couple of takeaways that I got from it. And I would ask, if you're watching us live, go ahead and comment on a couple of your biggest takeaways as well. So today we have 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. So let's get to it.
Above and beyond the heavens, you must continue to rise. We need you to be a light in the midst of darkness. This world has gone crazy. This world needs you to rise up. This world needs your dream. This world needs you to achieve everything you got on the inside of you. This world needs you to be you. But in order for you to be you, we got to have you to rise up. I will be resilient. I will rewire my thinking. I will emerge. I will evolve. I will be immune to impossibility. I will be immune to the pain that is attached to my purpose. I will not be stagnant. I will not stay stuck in the mud that you left me in. I will evolve. I will rise. When others think that you can't carry on, rise away from the excuses. Rise away from the substitutions. You left me for dead. You buried my face into the ground. Did you think I would stay there? I must rise. This is for my future. This is for my children. This is for my destiny. This is for my legacy. There is no pain that is bigger than my purpose. I will rise.
Hoo-wee. That's kind of stuff that gets me fired up every single morning. I don't know about you guys, but I just love to feed myself positive, inspirational stuff just like that, man. And that's a reminder for me. I don't know what you guys here heard, but go ahead and comment in the chat. What did you hear? What is your biggest takeaway, right? What I heard is a great reminder for myself that it's bigger than me. See, sometimes we want to give up. Sometimes we want to quit. Sometimes I have those things that come up in my mind and I'm like, Cortez, is entrepreneurship worth it? Should you just take the easy route, man? Just go get you a job where everything is set and all you do is get up and you show up and you put your best foot forward. Is that the deal? Should I be focusing? Should I just go every now and then? I don't care who you are. You have moments where you wonder if it is worth it. Cortez, is it worth you getting up every morning, preparing every night for a podcast that nobody might not listen to? Is it worth it? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's bigger than you. It is bigger than you. And when you internalize that, you will realize that there's sometimes all it takes is one person to be the spark that ignites an entire movement, right? I think about the story of Gandhi. If he had not been discriminated against on a train at one point as a young man, he bought a first-class ticket, but because he was Indian, They said, man, no, you can't sit up there, and literally put him off the train. It was that moment that sparked an entire movement. And it was his movement that sparked a flame in Martin Luther King Jr. See, you never know who's watching. You never know who's going to study some of your moves in history years after you pass and realize or take action based on something you said. Especially now we have this day and age of social media where anybody can make their voice heard. Anybody can put their voice up on YouTube or these platforms and it lives forever. You never know who might be listening to something you said 50 years from now, and then it sparked an incredible revolution. That's why you can't quit, man. No more fear, because it's bigger than you. You have to overcome your fears and rise, ladies and gentlemen. You have to, because we are all here to help one another. And sometimes our dreams are connected to others. Our purpose are connected to other people. And if we give up, we might miss those connections. So do all that you can to keep pressing towards the mark. If you don't want to do it for you, if you don't want to do it for your immediate family, do it for those that you might not even know are watching, that need to see a shining example of you winning at whatever it is that God has called you to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is 1 Minute Motivation, brought to you by my good friends over at Patty Creek Farm. Listen to a word from our sponsor.
Yo, what's up, good people? It's your man, H Cortez, Cortez Hustle. Listen, when you want to get away from all the hustle and bustle of your life, you want to unplug, you need a place to unwind and chill, I want to tell you all about Patty Creek's Farm. Man, it was amazing getaway for my wife and I. We just came down. It's about 2 hours southwest of Missouri, of St. Louis, and we just had a blast. There's plenty for you to do around the farm, or if you want to do nothing at all, I want you to listen to this. Just peace and quiet, right? Man, this is an amazing place. The grounds are beautiful, well kept. Miss Patty and Mr. Bob are some amazing human beings, and they're going to make sure that you have a very good time. So go check them out at Patty Creek's Farm. You will not be disappointed. And for those of you who are grinding all the time, remember, you need time for self-care. And what better way to do that than to unplug? Come get you a little bit of peace and quiet, get you a little bit of peace of mind, relax, chill. One of the coolest bed and breakfasts we've ever been to, Patty Creek's Farm. Check it out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am your host, Cortez Hustle, and we're talking spending habits. Are they in alignment with your priorities? The things that you say you want out of life, are you spending your money in a way that's going to help you achieve those things? The number one thing that you need to do, if you're trying to figure out if you are on the right track, is number one, list your priorities, write them down. What are your top 10 priorities, right? You might notice different levels of priorities as you write yours down. Things like having a place to live and plenty of food to eat are your basic priorities. However, you'll most likely include some necessary priorities to ensure a strong future for yourself and your family members, like maintaining good health or providing your kids with a good education. You gotta write those things down, y'all. Also, list things you love to do that seem more like luxury priorities, like reading, traveling, or playing golf, right? Especially if it costs you money. These might be on a lower level of priority than your basic priorities, but nevertheless, they're still important to you. So include these as well. Sometimes, guys, we get caught up in trying to do the right thing all the time that we don't allocate any money, any resources to satisfying our pleasures, right? If you like to play golf, then you should put your golf fees in your budget. Period. Don't let anybody tell you not to play golf, because we all have our own escapisms. We got things that we just have to do so that we can escape, so that we can get a peace of mind, so that we can recharge. The problem that a lot of people run into is they don't budget for these things. And they end up spending money taking money from other places in their budget to do these things and throwing their budgets out of whack. It is okay for you to budget in your leisure activities. Matter of fact, it might even be necessary. So the first thing you got to do, if you're serious about lining up your spending habits with your priorities, is you absolutely must list out what those priorities are. List out your necessities, list out your luxury priorities, list out your basic needs. What's important to you, right? What are your values? What are you trying to get accomplished while you are still yet breathing on this earth, right? Number two, after you listed your priorities, now write down how you spend most of your money. Where does it go? Although you may get annoyed that much of your money goes towards a mortgage or rent, the fact is that we all require a roof over our heads. This is where you don't leave it to your memory. Literally, pull out your bank statements. My wife and I have an appointment this Wednesday to sit down and do just this. Pull out your bank statements, pull out your credit card statements, pull out your, in my case, my business is tied to PayPal, so I have to pull out my PayPal statements. I pull out everywhere that we spend money from, and we have to look at every single line item to determine where our money is actually going. In your head, you got an idea of where you think your money is going, right? I know people who swear up and down they don't eat out that much until they look at those bank statements. I know people who swear up and down that all they do is spend their money on bills, and then they look at their bank statement and it shows that, hey, they went and had a good time over here. They spent a little few dollars at this bar over here. They had a movie experience over here. They went out and hung out with some friends over there, right? They went to the nail or the salon. When you see it in black and white, it hits a little different. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And when I had Jennifer from Micro Empires on last week or the week before, she talked about facing your reality. Like, she got to a place where she was completely bankrupt twice, right? Jennifer Grimson of Micro Empire. She got to a place where she was bankrupt twice. She said one of the hardest things for her to do was for her to face her reality. Open up those bills, open up those collection letters, open up those bank statements and those default notices, and sit down and really take inventory of exactly where you are. A lot of people are faking the funk, right? There's a thing called fake it till you make it. Well, you can do that to a certain extent, but behind your closed doors, you need to know exactly where you are, because all of us are trying to get somewhere else. But when you look at a GPS, that GPS, the first thing it needs to know before it can give you a route to where you want to go, it's got to know where you are. Some of us are trying to map out a route to a destination that we want to be from a phony place. It's never going to work, y'all. It's never going to work. You have to put in a precise location in your GPS, and your GPS will give you multiple routes to get to where you want to go. If you're lying about where you are, it's going to be nearly impossible to get where you want to go. So pull out your bank statements and your credit card statements, anywhere that you spend money from, pull those out and look at them line by line, right? You might consider the type, size, and expense of your home and whether you've gone too far in terms of house expenses, right? This is something else my wife and I are revisiting. Like when our children were young, we needed a certain amount of house. It's me, her, 5 sons, and then we moved in a cousin and my nephew. So 7 boys, 1 man, and 1 woman, right? So we had to have a certain amount of house. Now, we also wanted our children to be in somewhat of a decent school system academically, but also from a social standpoint. We wanted them to go to a school where it was safe. It wasn't a whole bunch of gang violence and a whole bunch of craziness going on within the school. So we chose that location specifically. Now, guess what? My youngest son just turned 20 on the 12th. Now it's just me, her, and him. And he's on his way out the door. So can we look at the amount of house that we have and determine that, you know what, downsizing our life so we can increase our future, is that viable for us? So many of us are afraid of downsizing because of what we think other people are going to think about us. I don't care that you think I'm broke if I downsize and go from a house to an apartment, because it's going to save me $500 a month. That $500 a month I'm going to be able to put into my investment account for my grandchildren. You can think what you want to think about me, but I have a plan. And if I need to increase my cash flow by $500 and downsizing my house is one way to do it, then I got to do what's best for me. See, we get caught up in this thing that society says you got to have a big house and the house got to be big enough for the family to come back and stay and all. No, listen, I've got to do what's best for me. Now, that might be what's best for you. You might want to maintain a home, and you might be able to afford to maintain that home with extra 2 or 3 bedrooms so that you can have guests come and stay, so that when your children come back and visit, they can have a place to stay and all of that. That would be based on your priority. Is that on your priority list? I told my wife, we're going to get us an RV. My sons ain't going to have a place to come back and stay, because we're going to hit the road and we're going to go see this country. We ain't going to have a place for them to come back to, because that's not on my priority list, right? That's why you got to list your priorities. You got to write them down. If so, where you live and the mortgage rent payments might require reevaluation. And there's nothing wrong with reevaluation, y'all. There's nothing wrong with that. 20 years ago, I needed a house a certain size in a certain neighborhood in a certain school district. I don't have school age kids no more, so I need to reevaluate that whole thing. I don't have kids living at home anymore. I need to reevaluate that whole thing. Some of us are in houses, in cars that's eating our lunch, but we don't want to downsize because of what other people may perceive. Man, forget other people, right? Maybe a good portion of your dollar goes to other expenses like groceries and paying your utilities. But what else do you spend your money on? I'm gonna give you another one. My wife and I, now that the kids are gone, we spend a lot of money on groceries and we eat out. Now, because we're making dietary changes, we're going to more natural organic stuff so that we're eating at home. But there was a time where we literally would spend $300 or $400 on groceries. And instead of cooking the groceries that we bought, we would go out and eat, because sometimes it was a lot. Raising 5, 6, 7 kids, it was a lot. So it was a lot easier for us to go get 4 hot and ready pizzas for $20 and feed the kids. But then we let $500 worth of groceries go to waste. But because society says if I keep going after the convenience food, then I'm not a good parent, I would still go to the grocery store every month. I got to do what works for me. For me. So I'm spending $500 on convenience food, things that are already prepared for the kids. So it just made it easy for us. And then I'm throwing away $500 worth of groceries every month because we didn't cook, we didn't eat. The food went bad because instead of cooking it. So instead of me being self-aware and say, listen, sugar, we keep buying all this groceries and throwing it away so that, and instead we're just feeding our kids pizza and burgers and things of that nature. Well, if that's what we're going to do, that's what we are. Forget what society says. We're not giving our kids the healthiest of stuff because of our lifestyle. Then we're going to, instead of buying groceries and going out to eat, we're just going to lean in on going out to eat every night. Let's pick some healthier choices that we can feed our children when we go out to eat. And we're not throwing away $500 worth of groceries every single month. So you got to get self-aware. You got to get serious about where you are and do what works for you and your household. And forget about the ridicule that may come. Forget about what other people might have to say about how you do things in your house. That was $500 a month that could have been going into our investment accounts instead of going into the trash can. But we still going grocery shopping every month because we feel that that's what society says you do. You go buy food and you cook food at home. But if you never have time to cook food at home, food is going in the garbage can, right? So now from a health standpoint, it may not have been the best thing, right? But you got to do what works for you and your family, right? Do you play slot machines on Saturday for fun and end up losing money? Now, again, this is about what works for you. Maybe you love to shop and use shopping as a pastime that ends up costing you quite a bit. Perhaps you spend $20 a week on coffee and snacks, or $30 a week having drinks with your friends, or $100 a week on lottery tickets. What? I ain't bashing you about what you spend your money on. The question is, did you have an assignment for that money? Was that the appropriate assignment that you had? Or do you normally spend $20 on lottery tickets and you got the rest of your budget all figured out, but because of Mega Millions is now 300 million, you're going to go spend $200 on lottery tickets this week? No, you're blowing your budget. I ain't saying don't buy lottery tickets if that's your thing. I'm saying, did you go over budget on lottery because of impulse buying? If you got a $20 a week budget for buying lottery tickets and that makes you feel good, that works for you, do that. But don't keep saying I got a $20 budget for lottery tickets and you keep spending $100 every week. You either readjust your budget or you readjust your discipline. See, I can't tell you what to do with your money. I'm just saying, if you have a plan, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. It's okay. A lot of people will say, well, don't listen, man. We all got a vice somewhere. We all got something that we do that increases our feel-good hormones. We all do, right? As a young man, it was smoking blunts every day, right? But now that I'm older, it's okay, grinding away in my business, trying to improve my business. That's one of my things that makes me feel good. It makes me feel accomplished, right? I buy and I spend money on my education, my financial education, my business education, right? I'm studying branding and marketing all the time. I'm always growing. I'm always learning, That's what does it for me. I can't tell you not to do what does it for you, but if you don't have that in the budget, you need to put it in the budget. And that might mean something else might have to come out of the budget. But how do you know? It's all based on your priorities. But if you don't have your priorities clearly listed, then you're all over the place. Thoughtfully consider where your money goes from week to week. Now, my wife and I are doing this on a month-to-month basis, but eventually I think it's going to be good for us to do it on a week-to-week basis. But right now, this is new for us, really honing in on our budget and getting control of our money. So we're literally sitting down on Wednesday, printing out all of the statements everywhere. She's got about 4 credit cards. I've got a couple. Then I've got my PayPal accounts. Then I got my business accounts. So we have to print out all of the statements for all of that stuff. And we have to see where the money is actually going and ask ourselves this question: does this way we're spending line up with our priorities? If we keep spending this way in 20 years, will our grandchildren have the inheritance of 7 figures that we want them to have? If we keep spending this way, will we ever get to a place where we can travel the world? If we keep spending this way, will we ever get to a place where we can raise our sons in business and help them with their business endeavors so they can get their feet wet as entrepreneurs? If we keep spending this way, will we get where we ultimately say we want to go? That's it. So you got to see it in black and white. Now, for those of you who are doing, who spend a lot of cash, right? It's hard to do this. It's like I for my business, everything goes to one account. So it's easy to just pull those accounts. Either that's coming from my business account or it's coming from my PayPal account. So I got a PayPal card and I've got a traditional business account with my credit union. So that money, I can just see it, right? But for those of us who maybe you're not banking, maybe your check goes direct deposit and you pull all of your cash out and then you go and just, you're going to have to start keeping receipts. You're going to have to start keeping a record. You're going to have to start doing something so that you have it in black and white to see where your money is going. It's difficult, man, to try to track all of that stuff here. One of the things that really messes us up is we never account for taxes. And that messes us up. So you'll go and pay $300 for a TV, for instance, right? And then when you go back and reflect on what happened to your money this month, you're like, oh, well, I spent $300 on a TV. No, you spent $318 on a TV, right? And we don't account for the taxes, right? And that throws us off. And we start wondering like, man, I still got $200 that I can't account for. Oh, I can account for it. It went to Uncle Sam. But you don't think about it that way. That's why you gotta write this stuff down. Finally, you compared you have written your list of priorities. You went and pulled your bank statements and all of your financial records so that you can see a list of your spending. Finally, you got to compare your list. Take a look at your first list, the one with your priorities. Ponder each of them. Does every item accurately reflect what's important to you? Now, here's the thing. If you got a spouse, then y'all have to have a conversation. There might be some compromising going on, right? Look, I mean, my wife does our own hair most of the time. I shave my own head most of the time. Matter of fact, all the time, right? But if she, in order to be the best version of herself, needed to go to the salon every 2 weeks, that got to be in the budget. Some things we can't fight about. If that was her deal, in order to be the best version of herself, I got to put it in the budget. All right. We talked about eating and taking care of the kids. If she decides that, listen, there's going to be one night every single week where I'm just not going to feel like cooking. Well, it's got to be in the budget that at least once a week, we're probably going to order takeout. How much takeout are we going to order every week? And put that in a budget, right? You got to have these conversations. Now examine your second list, the one showing where your money actually goes. Does this list appear connected? Does your money go mostly towards your priorities? You might be shocked to learn that even though you listed certain priorities like providing a good education for your children or having a comfortable home, you're spending $100+ a week on eating out instead of starting an education fund. This is why this stuff got to be written down. What are your priorities and what's actually happening with your money? And we don't often want to face this reality. I put a post up on Facebook. I can't remember where it came from, but basically it says, if you don't get serious about your money, you'll never have serious money. And that hit like a ton of bricks. So my wife and I are getting serious about our money because the goal is for us to have serious money. You can't travel the world if you don't have serious money, right? You can't build a 7-figure retirement portfolio that your grandchildren are going to inherit if you don't have serious money. Now, right now, I don't have any grandchildren. I got a feeling, though, that when those mugs start coming, I got 5 sons. I got a feeling when they start coming, they're going to start coming fast and furious. And you guys hear me say this all the time. I was born broke. And this is no shade to my mom and dad. They just didn't have it when I was born. So that's not my fault. If I die broke, that is my fault. So far, I've lived to 47 years. If I live another 30 and I still die broke, especially being born and have lived during this time, I can't speak to how easy or difficult it would have been for my mom and my dad to build serious wealth, or my grandma and my granddad to have built serious wealth. But for me, living during this time where we got the internet, social media, we got cell phone, we got mass communication at the tip in everyone's fingertips. We got a 24-hour news cycle so you can see exactly what's going on. Almost 80% of all of the information in the entire world is on the internet somewhere to be found. If I die broke, that's my fault. But then I take it a step further. If my grandchildren are born broke, that's also my fault. I hope y'all hear that. Being born in this day and age where I could literally be in business for $0. I can then turn that business, even if I'm working a full-time job, if I did nothing else but turn that business to an extra $500 a month, I can start putting that $500 into certain funds right now today. That's why you got to go to myperfectmoneyplan.com. You'll see the different funds that are paying 14, 15, 16% return, meaning your money will double every 4 to 5 years. So think about that. You got a grandchild that hasn't been born yet, and that money that you're putting away is doubling every 5 years. So by the time your child is 20 years old, your grandchild is 20 years old, that money is doubled 4 times. What? Yeah. So we've been born in a great time, but you got to make sure that you're getting serious about your money. What if you listed reading as one of your priorities, yet you spend nearly $100 a month on cable TV you don't watch much? Oh, man. My guy George C. Frazier talks about your E to E ratio. What is your entertainment to education ratio? I'm not saying any ratio is right or wrong. I'm just saying, have you ever tripped off of it? If you want to be successful, do you invest as much money in you becoming successful, educating yourself, as you do entertaining yourself? That's what you got to ask. You spend $100 a month on cable and you spend $0 on books. You spend $0 on conferences. You spend $0 on workshops. You spend zeros on networking opportunities where you can get around people to learn what you say you want to know. Or if you do, it's the same 3 channels, right? So going back to cable, you spend $100 a month on a cable bill that you don't watch, or if you do, you watch the same 3 channels that you get on basic cable plan costing less than $40 a month. Again, that goes back to the whole downsizing thing. Can I downsize my lifestyle from 150 channels down to 25 channels and save $100 a month, save $75 a month, save $50 a month? In either case, you got to ask yourself, what are my true and real priorities? And why aren't I putting my money towards the things that matter most to me? Again, you got to get clear about those things that matter most. Having great clarity in knowing your priorities and being conscious of how you spend your money will help you routinely place money towards what's important to you. Then you'll like the way you feel about your finances, and funds become available for your favorite things. This also helps with the social pressure, right? I get asked all the time, Cortez, what you doing in the cryptocurrency space? Nothing. Nothing. Why? Because that's not a priority for me. Now, I'm not oblivious to the fact that there is a shift happening in our currency, in the way that things are going to be accessed and moved. But right now, it's not a priority for me. Now, could I be missing a huge opportunity to get wealthy? Could I be missing a huge opportunity to be an early adopter of something that's going to revolutionize the world? Yes, but based on my current set of priorities, that's not up there for me. And I'm not going to let you make me feel bad about it not being up there on my list. Now, something might change in my life in the future where it gets bumped up to a higher level of priority, and I'll deal with it and I'll address it then. But right now, because I know what my list of priorities are, I'm sticking to my list. Will I have a conversation with somebody like my man, Evan Jefferson, who on my channel, he often does crypto training and stuff like that? Sure, bro, you need to take a look at this. Okay. Yeah, I have a conversation. I bought this class and his crypto for beginners and 1.0, 2.0, things like that. But until it becomes a priority for me, I can't let anybody else's priority mix up my priorities. But when you don't have your priorities clearly listed, then everybody's priority becomes your priority. So, man, I appreciate you guys listening to this rant this morning. I told you this is for me, man. I'm studying this stuff for myself to get better myself. So hopefully you got some value out of it. If you did, please like, comment, and share. Till I talk to you guys next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.